Part 71. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 701. When the survivors arrived in front of the Blue Water Garden, what was waiting for them was a battleship floating in the sky. I know why you are here, but I don't want to waste time with you, so I only give you 3 choices. Wang Feng's words floated down from the battleship in the sky. 1. Accept our conditions and stay at the Hope Base. 2. If you do not accept our conditions, please leave the scope of the Hope Base. 3. If you don't accept or leave, kill. No matter how many people there are, you can try and see if I dare to kill. Now I give you 10 minutes to leave the square. Those who choose to stay go back and continue your work. Those who choose to leave, take your things and leave the Hope Base. Those who are still in the square after 10 minutes, die. After hearing what Wang Feng said, the people in the square looked at each other and talked about it. What should I do? It seems they are determined to do this. Blow. If none of us leave, I don't believe it. They dare to kill so many of us. Then you wait slowly. I'm going back. Although the tax is a bit heavy, at least it's safe here. I won't leave Hope Base anyway. Don't leave. Let's ask them, killing people like this is their way of continuing the inheritance of mankind. Then go and ask. They are all inside the battleship, how do you get in? There must be someone else in the Bishui garden. Let's rush in and ask them. Yes. Let's go in and ask them. We must give an explanation today. Such a heavy tax. Are you going to let people live? Let's go. Let's go to the headquarters together and let them give us an explanation. Let's go. Let's get together. At this time, we must be united. Otherwise, we will be exploited by them forever. No one should leave, let's go to the headquarters to find them. Under the instigation of the survivors from Tiandu City, these survivors flocked to the Blue Water Garden. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and then the guard at the gate of Bishui Garden shouted loudly. It said above. If you think we are unfair, you can leave. As long as you stay at Hope Base, you must abide by our rules. We are not forcing you to stay here, and there is no need to explain to you. Anyone who goes forward will be regarded as an enemy of the Hope Base and will be killed. The survivors looked at each other, and then the former nobles from the Tiandu City base shouted. Everyone, rush, they don't dare to kill. Even with so many people, they can't kill them. We must find their leader and give him an explanation. We are human beings, not slaves. However, although these people shouted happily, they did not rush forward. Instead, some of the survivors who were bewitched by their words got excited and rushed towards the Blue Water Garden. Bang! Bang bang bang! A series of gunshots rang out, and the heads of more than a dozen people were shattered like rotten watermelons by the huge bullet that seriously injured them. However, it was not the survivors who were at the front who died, but the urban nobles who loudly beguiled them among the crowd. The Hope warrior standing on guard at the gate of Bishui Garden said expressionlessly to those who rushed over but stopped because of the sound of gunfire. Your life is yours. Don't be a gunman just because of someone else's words. Anyone who crosses the line will be killed without mercy. The survivors who were about to rush to the entrance of Bishui Garden lowered their heads and looked at the warning line about 2 meters in front of them, and then looked back at the crowd that was in chaos because of the death of those people. For a moment, there was no dare to rush forward again. The nobles at the Tiandu City base did not expect that when they wanted to kill people at the base, they did not kill those who rushed to the front because of their instigation, but killed those guys who just shouted. So for a while, no one dared to speak again. It would be okay to encourage some people to go and die, and then take the opportunity to discredit the Hope Base and provoke these survivors to make things worse. But if you have to risk your life because of this, it's not worth it. Seeing that the Hope Base's cold-blooded methods had suppressed these survivors and made them think about retreating, the nobles at the Tiandu city base couldn't help but feel a little anxious. A noble separated the crowd, walked directly to the cordon, and said to the sentry, "This soldier. I want to see your leader. Please inform me. The leader is quite busy at this time and has no time." The sentry simply rejected this guy. "We live here and have the right to protest when our rights and interests are violated. Even if you want the base to be strong, you can't treat us like slaves, right?" The noble said, unconvinced. 80% of the harvest from our hard work will be handed over to you. You can get the fruits of our labor without doing anything. This is simply a vampire." After hearing what this guy said, the guard was furious. He pointed at the huge military soul monument in the square and shouted loudly, "Do nothing? To defend the Hope Base and fight against zombies, mutant beasts, mutant insects, and the Devourer army. Do you know how many of our people have died on the battlefield for the safety of Hope Base? Every name above represents a life, and represents one of my brothers. I will die forever for you ungrateful scum. Is this what you mean by doing nothing? Besides, we didn't ask you to stay in Hope Base. Do you feel like a slave? Then get out of Hope Base and don't accept our protection. It's a big place outside. You can go wherever you want. I hope the base won't chase you. As long as you can protect yourselves, everything you get will be yours. Now, get out of here. Otherwise, I will kill you just because of what you just said." The noble was stunned for a moment, then looked at the soldier who was looking at him with a murderous expression, shuddered, and then retreated. Because from the look in the soldier's eyes, he knew that if he opened his mouth again, the soldier would really shoot him without hesitation. 5 minutes left. In 5 minutes, everyone left in the square will be killed. Wang Feng's words came from the battleship again, and, as if to cooperate with him, all the weapon holes on the battleship were opened and aimed downwards. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going back. If you want to play, you can play. One of the survivors shouted loudly, and then hurriedly left the square. As this guy left, the other survivors also began to leave. The nobles at the Tiandu city base were unwilling to stop them from leaving, trying to convince them that the base would not dare to shoot so many people. However, after several roars of serious injuries, the guys who tried to prevent the survivors from leaving also fell to the ground. Now, no one dared to stay, not even the other Tiandu city nobles dared to speak. Moreover, seeing the crowd dispersing quickly, they also did not dare to stay in the square and all returned to the farms assigned to them. They just felt that if the more than 20 million survivors worked together and no one left, Hope Base would not dare to directly launch a massacre. Who would have thought that the survivors at Hope Base had already been frightened by the video of Lu Feng, the bloody hand butcher? When they saw that the weapons of the battleship were exposed, they dared not stay anywhere, so they were all frightened away. With such a small number of people, they naturally did not dare to stay after the other survivors left. These people had left a bad impression on the Hope Base when they came. If they dared to stay in the square now, they were almost certain that the battleships above would definitely kill them. They could clearly see the power of this battleship in the video. Even the Devourer died silently under that kind of beam. Of course they dare not use their own bodies to verify the power of that weapon. As a result, the turmoil that was brewing among the survivors at the Hope Base who were not qualified to enter the battleship came to a hasty end. Looking at the crowd dispersing below, Wang Feng snorted coldly. In fact, he just showed the weapons of the battleship just to scare these people. If you really want to kill these people, you don't need those weapons at all, you just need to shoot energy beams. If the weapons just revealed were to be fired in a volley, I am afraid that not only the Hope Base, but also the entire Dongzhou continent would be wiped out. After all, this is a warship built during the heyday of the human race, and the power of the weapons is not comparable to those they have seen. Okay. Now that the matter is settled, we should start our training? Are you all ready? Wang Feng shouted directly so that everyone on the ship could hear his words. Of course, Wang Feng did not wait for the answers from the soldiers and survivors. Instead, he went directly to the chair in the center of the control hall and sat down. Then, with his hair flying, he drove the battleship directly into the sky towards Bizhu continent. Fly in the direction. On the monitoring screen, there are nearly 100 light spots flashing on Bizhu continent. They are the devourers who escaped from this planet. They have returned to this planet, and instead of returning to the southern continent they occupied before, they ran to the northern continent and hid. However, under the surveillance of the battleship, their whereabouts cannot be hidden at all. Moreover, on the way to Bizhu continent, Wang Feng unexpectedly discovered some acquaintances of his in the sea. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 702. The people below are naturally Inovic and Augustine. In the past few days, they have used their resources to repair a giant ocean ship without being attacked by the devourer. Of course, this ocean-going ship cannot bring all the people from their northern continent, but at least they can come over first, find Wang Feng, and then take a look at the situation here. It would be best if Wang Feng had the strength to take over all the others. Therefore, this time Inovic, who has a better relationship with Wang Feng, leads the team, and Toriaha is also in the team. As for Augustine, he stayed in Bizhu continent and took charge of the more than 20 million survivors. When the battleship piloted by Wang Feng appeared above them, Inovic and the others were startled, thinking that the devourer had returned. After all, none of them had ever seen such a huge space battleship. With human power, it was simply impossible to build such a battleship. When Wang Feng's voice sounded, Inovic and the others breathed a sigh of relief and secretly thought that they had saved their lives. Wang Feng directly lowered the lifting platform and let Inovic and the others board the battleship. Fortunately, the survivors of Bizhu continent have all become awakened because of Wang Feng, so they don't find it difficult to jump onto the platform. After entering the battleship, Inovic saw Wang Feng. He stepped forward and gave Wang Feng a bear hug. He did not have any fear of Wang Feng because he could pilot such a huge battleship. Ha 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 ha. Feng. Long time no see. Are you okay? After the hug, Inovic took a step back, looked at Wang Feng up and down and then asked. I'm not bad. Wang Feng looked at Inovic and smiled and said, Wang Feng admires this guy very much. If a rough and arrogant man, similar to Tang Haoshan, loses his temper with you, he will treat you as one of his own and won't deal with you. He won't even look at you. Wang Feng has always admired this kind of man with a straightforward personality, especially since Inovic didn't change his mind at all just because he had such a huge battleship. Friends are friends, and there will be no changes due to identity or status. This is the highest state of getting along between friends. Haha. Inovic. What? Are you coming across the ocean to join me? Looking at Inovic, Wang Feng laughed. Well. Feng. I really came to join you, but we only repaired this one ship, so Augustine and the others didn't come. Inovic looked at Wang Feng and said. However, judging from your current abilities, you should be able to bring us all to your Dongzhou continent, right? We have fought against the devourer and are no match for us. At the most dangerous time, we only had one city left. But fortunately you didn't know what happened, and scared all the devourers into withdrawing their troops, so we were able to survive. Now there are more than 20 million people in Bizhu continent. We have also wiped out all the bastards from the Zhuhang clan and Tianzhou clan. But we feel that if the devourers come again, we may still be killed by them, so we want to seek refuge with you. I wonder if you will accept us. Hearing Inovic's words, Wang Feng smiled and then said. Let's wait until we get to Bizhu continent. There are still devourers in Bizhu continent now. After we kill them, we will discuss your matters. What? And Devourer. Inovik took a breath of air. Then hurry up. Augustine and the others may be in danger. Wang Feng smiled and shook his head and said. No. Those devourers don't dare to expose themselves now. They have no time to hide. They will never attack you. After hearing Wang Feng's words, Inovik breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the shadow left by the devourer army on him was definitely not small. The battleship quickly arrived at the Bizhu continent. For those devourers, they never thought that because the other party had Li Yingning, it was impossible for them to deceive the Hope Base with the method of their golden cicadas escape. Although they also know that the monitoring range of the space battleship is quite large, after they left this planet, they have tried their best to operate in an orbit farther away from the planet. In their minds, the battleship would definitely not expand the surveillance area to look for them after thinking that they were all dead. How do they know? Hope that with Li Yingning, the Devourer Prince, in the base, they can know whether they are dead or not without monitoring. Now, these Devourer commanders are desperately digging underground under the orders of the Brood Guard. At first, Hope Base also wanted to use this method to avoid them, but now, it was their turn to use this method to avoid Hope Base's tracking. Maybe this is Hedong in 30 years and Hexi in 30 years, right? However, because Wang Feng has monitored the entire planet, there is no way for them to escape Wang Feng's pursuit even if they hide in the core of the earth. After Wang Feng came to Bizhu continent, he first killed all these devourers before going to see Augustine. Wang Feng did not spend too much effort to kill these devourers. He just used the energy beam and easily solved these survivors. However, under Li Yingning's suggestion, Wang Feng did not kill all the nest guards directly. Because Li Yingning said that if all 6 nest guards were killed instantly, it might arouse the nest's vigilance. Therefore, Wang Feng's first wave of attack was to kill all the devourers except the nest guards. As for the nest guards, he directly sent the 2 Legion soldiers on the warship to the ground and captured them all. Of course, during the battle, number 11 was killed directly by Wang Feng's energy beam because of his too tenacious resistance. Therefore, the nest now knows that 5 of the nest guards who came to this planet with human beings have died. However, because he had no way to rush to this planet immediately, this situation basically had no other effect on the Devourer nest except making him feel worse. However, because only 5 life nodes disappeared, the mother nest was not desperate. What he was thinking now was that the remaining 5 mother nest guards would be able to hold on until his arrival. Because if the remaining 5 mother nest guards also died, his upper limit of troops would be directly reduced by 50%. In other words, his strength would be directly reduced by half. While the mother nest guards were hoping that the remaining 5 mother nest guards could survive, he did not know that the 5 mother nest guards had been locked up in the space battleship by Wang Feng. After solving the problem of the Devourer, Wang Feng drove the battleship to Augustine. With the battleship suspended in the air, Wang Feng and the survivors of the North Continent got off the battleship together and appeared in front of the survivors of the North Continent. Fortunately, Augustine was a relatively stable person, so when Wang Feng's battleship came above their city, Augustine did not order an attack. Because just looking at the size of the warship, you can tell that such a warship is definitely not something they can resist. So no matter who is on it, Augustine has no intention of resisting. In fact, Augustine already feels that this is the warship of the Devourer, which means that today should be the anniversary of their death in the North Continent. However, when he saw Inovik and Wang Feng appear in front of him, Augustine instantly realized that this warship belonged to humans. However, in the North Continent, Wang Feng also adopted a test method. When he talked about the source of energy, to his surprise, as a fighting nation, the survivors of the North Continent, more than 90% of them were willing to give their source of energy to Wang Feng. This ratio has greatly exceeded the Hope Base. In fact, it is easy to understand. Although Wang Feng did not say it clearly, he just said that he needed the source of energy, and did not talk about the source of energy to curb human strength like in the Hope base. But the first one to stretch out his arm and stand in front of Wang Feng was Innovik. Innovik was extremely grateful to Wang Feng. Even if Wang Feng said that he needed the energy source, but the person who offered his energy source might die immediately, Innovik would stand in front of him without hesitation. So, Wang Feng took all the guys who were willing to give him the energy source to the warship. Of course, there were still some who were unwilling, and Wang Feng did not force them, and also took them to the warship. They would also be taken to the East Continent, but when they arrived at the Hope base, they would get the same treatment as the survivors who wanted to ask for an explanation before. Moreover, Wang Feng immediately told the secret of the energy source after absorbing the energy source. In fact, he didn't need to say that in Innovik, the first person who voluntarily absorbed his energy source, the North Continent survivors had already seen the benefits they would be able to obtain. Because almost all the people in the North Continent had used the awakening potion made by Wang Feng, so after losing the suppression of the energy source, Innovik's strength immediately soared and reached the initial stage of his parasite. For the fighting nation, strength is the most important potential. At least you need to live long enough to show it. So, after seeing Innovik's strength increase, most of the survivors in Bazhu made the same choice as Innovik. After absorbing the source of energy, Wang Feng also directly stated the treatment between the survivors with the source of energy and those without the source of energy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 703. Among the survivors of the northern continent, almost all of them had used the awakening potion provided by Wang Feng, and they were particularly grateful to Wang Feng. Let's not talk about anything else, just talk about the invasion of the Devourer this time. If it weren't for Wang Feng's arrival and informing them about the Devourer in advance, and their strength was all raised to the level of awakeners, and they were able to conquer 6 cities, allowing them to persist until now. If it weren't for Wang Feng, I'm afraid that their northern continent would have been conquered by the Devourer long ago, and there would still be so many people there now. After all, this time, they saw the strength of the Devourer clearly. If it weren't for Wang Feng's words at the beginning, asking them to defend in 6 cities and support each other, they would have no way to resist the Devourer's attack. Although the Devourers have no long-range attack capabilities, their bodies are really too abnormal. They can't see where the Devourer's consciousness core is, so naturally the hit rate is also very low. Similarly, when they saw that the Devourers were almost all beehives, they could still charge towards them. Their fear can be imagined. So, in the end, among the 20 million survivors in the North Continent, only less than 500,000 did not accept Wang Feng's energy source absorption. When Wang Feng explained the difference between the two, the remaining survivors all changed their minds and hoped that Wang Feng would absorb the energy source in their bodies. However, Wang Feng would certainly not do such a thing, otherwise, the previous test would be meaningless. After seeing the data of the North Continent, Lu Feng and his team felt a little ashamed, because they thought that the Hope base had been built very well. But according to the current ratio, the loyalty of the survivors in the Hope base, which they have been working hard to manage, is not as good as that of a continent that Wang Feng has only led for more than a month. Even though there are survivors from the North Continent, almost all of them have taken awakening potions, so the proportion of improving strength is more than 10 times higher than that of the Hope base. But after all, the data is there, and Lu Feng and his team still feel that they have failed. Wang Feng didn't close so many things, because now he has been attracted by the survivors in the battleship that is almost full. This battleship has a good life support system, which can use energy to produce water and food, which are elements that the human body must replenish every day. However, the production of this thing requires the consumption of life energy. If the number of people is within 20 million, this is considered the standard configuration of the battleship. Once this number is exceeded, the consumption of the battleship will increase exponentially for each additional person. In other words, the actual number of life energy consumed by the 40 million survivors in the battleship should be the normal 60 million people. Fortunately, they are still on the planet now, so this consumption does not need to start from now. However, when they start to escape in order to avoid the cosmic ghost, this must be solved by Wang Feng. And now the simplest solution, of course, is to devour this mother nest. For the life energy accumulated by the devourer mother nest, even when Li Yingning was there, it was a very large number, not to mention that it has been at least tens of thousands of years since Li Yingning left. Therefore, Wang Feng had to kill the mother nest and plunder his life energy to make long-term preparations for his escape. Since all the guards of the mother nest have been captured, except for the unlucky number 11, the others were imprisoned by Li Yingning. After all, Li Yingning is the prince of the devourer, and he has a natural suppression on the mother nest guards. Even if Li Yingning has no real power, it is like the ancient marshal meeting the prince. I have more power than you, but your status is still higher than mine. Wang Feng did not waste time and directly put all the survivors who had not been absorbed by the source of power into the Hope base. After handing them over to Duan Lei and Luqiang for distribution, he drove the battleship directly into space. To be honest, on their planet, space is still a forbidden area. Not many people have set foot here. So, when the battleship entered space, all the passengers on the Yanhuang were intoxicated by it. The beauty of space is almost indescribable. It is dark and deep, calm and peaceful, vast and boundless. People who have never entered the universe in person can never imagine the magical feeling of being in the universe. You. If anyone says that this universe was created by an explosion, do you believe I will kill him? Tang Haoshan looked at the vast universe and murmured, because some so-called scientists or experts had said before. The universe was formed by a violent explosion. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing in the world. Nothing. What caused the explosion? All the experts. Can you explain it to me? And before that, their planet was quite turbulent. Today there was a terrorist attack here, and tomorrow there was a car bomb there. After so many explosions, no one blew up another universe. Of course. This was not originally created by an explosion. At least I don't believe it. Wang Feng smiled and said. Liza is a Christian. He said that this world was created by a god called Jehovah. To be honest, I was surprised. When he told me about this, he was still a soldier. It's hard to imagine that a soldier still has faith, right? But this guy just has it. And it's not the gods that our country and our nation have handed down. However, that boy managed to survive every time on the dangerous battlefield. According to him, he prayed to his God every time before going to the battlefield. I don't believe it because I didn't pray, but I survived. It's just that, from a logical point of view, I think that guy Lazy I said that the whole world was created by that God, which seems to be more reliable than the explosion. But I'm not a Christian, so I never take their God seriously. At this moment, Lu Feng suddenly put his hand on Wang Feng's shoulder and said. Madman. Actually, I am also a Christian. What? Wang Feng looked at Lu Feng with wide eyes. Aren't you forbidden to kill? You are already known as the Bloody Hand Butcher. Now come and tell me that you are a Christian? Are you sick? Madman. Lu Feng immediately retorted. You said that not killing is Buddhism, does it have anything to do with me? In the Bible, there are many people who kill more people than me. That guy named Samson killed more people than me. Isn't he also admired by God? You said that one is called Samson. Wang Feng said disdainfully. I haven't even figured out the name yet, why are you here? At this point, Wang Feng was suddenly startled. It seemed that Samson lost his strength because his hair was cut off. How imaginary was this human race like theirs now? Xiao Feng. Li Yingning stood up at this time. Actually, I can be considered a Christian. Teacher, instructor, are you, okay? Wang Feng's eyes widened. Do you still remember my other title? Li Yingning looked up at the deep universe outside, sighed softly and said, as a devourer, I have seen the destruction of too many planets and seen too many races. However, it seems that at least 50% of these planets believe in that Jehovah. I think even if you are doing advertising, if you can do it on such a large scale, you must be a very awesome person, right? That's why I named myself Apostle Paul, and the other clones of me were also named after the apostles under the sky. Instructor. Do you think this world was really created by that God Jehovah? Tang Haoshan asked with a frown. Stop, stop, stop. Wang Feng quickly stopped. We are here today to adapt to navigation in the universe, not to discuss the origin of the universe. For me, no matter whether this universe was bombed or created, at least our own survival is the key now. So, no matter who this universe is, whether it belongs to Jehovah or some Buddha, at least my life is my own. Wang Feng pointed to the universe outside and said, no matter what your beliefs are, if they work, you'd better ask him to help us now to kill those cosmic ghosts. If he can't kill them, then we still have to rely on ourselves. I am a soldier and do not believe in ghosts and gods. I only believe in myself, so if your God is free, please trouble him. If he cannot come, please try your best to adapt to the current environment. Because we may live in this environment for a long time in the future. After Wang Feng said this, he turned to look at Lu Feng and said, Lao Lu, why don't you talk to your God Jehovah and ask him to restore the function of your hair? It might be easier if I have someone to help me. Looking back at the vast universe, Wang Feng said, Xiao Feng, you don't understand. Lu Feng shook his head and said, maybe you don't know. Space Ghost. Before Lu Feng could finish his words, Wang Feng suddenly shouted at the battleship's surveillance screen. Everyone is ready. We are going to fight hard. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 704. Everyone in the control room was stunned, and then looked at the monitoring screen. In fact, there is no need to monitor the screen anymore. Even if you look out of the porthole of the space battleship, you can already see that there is a battleship that obviously does not belong to them, flying towards them. However, the size of this battleship is not large, and they hope that everyone in the base will be familiar with it, because they have seen this kind of spaceship in the previous video. It is the small space battleship of the Space Ghost. Cosmic Ghost. Everyone gasped. Shouldn't the Devourer be the first to arrive? Why a cosmic ghost? At this time, Wang Feng was also staring closely at the battleship of the Space Ghost. At this time, the battleship of Cosmic Ghost had entered his range, but Wang Feng did not directly fire to shoot it down. Because this Space Ghost battleship is just a small battleship, and their current Yanhuang already has a shield. Therefore, unless this space battleship directly hits them, it will not cause much damage to his Yanhuang. However, Wang Feng still aimed the firepower from the battleship at him. Anyway, they and the Space Ghost were fighting to the death, and there was no possibility of peace talks. He felt that this battleship might have something to tell him, but he was not interested in knowing the information from the Space Ghost. The reason why he moved closer was that Wang Feng didn't know much about other large weapons on the battleship. Now, although the space battleship has entered the range of his naval guns. But if Wang Feng opened fire when the small warship just entered the shooting range, it would be okay if he hit it, but if he couldn't stop it, he would be in trouble. Therefore, Wang Feng's original intention was to wait until the space battleship approached before killing him. Especially since the space battleship is here to send a message, it will definitely stop before his own battleship. Wait until it stops to talk, then just open fire and kill him. Wang Feng didn't believe it. He was not sure about moving, and he couldn't hit the fixed target. However, while Wang Feng was waiting for the small battleship to approach, Fuxi suddenly said, "Don't fire." Wang Feng, Lu Feng, Du Enlai, and others were suddenly stunned. What's going on? The human race and the cosmic ghost are mortal enemies, especially in Fuxi's area. His relatives, friends, and even brothers in the military community all died because of the cosmic ghost. Now he is the first one to say not to attack. Shouldn't the third master be the one who hopes most for the extinction of the ghosts of the universe? Wang Feng looked back at Fuxi and found that Fuxi was looking at the space ghost battleship that was approaching him with a shocked expression. Is it him?" Fuxi said in a trembling voice. Wang Feng and others looked back at the space ghost battleship, but they didn't see anything special about it. This space battleship is indeed that of the space ghost, but everyone who has seen that video will recognize this small battleship unique to the space ghost. But now Fuxi actually looked at the approaching warship with an expression of excitement and disbelief, and would not let Wang Feng and the others attack the warship. Is he crazy? Wang Feng, who had watched the previous interstellar war, knew very well that the shield of the spacecraft was only for defense against energy attacks. It is completely ineffective against a physical attack like a direct collision with a space battleship. And if this small battleship of the space ghost is not intercepted now, once it breaks through to the battleship will definitely be killed by one shot. It's just that Wang Feng didn't dare not listen to what the third master said. Moreover, seeing the third master's expression, it seemed that the warship that was flying towards them, the Yanhuang, was acquainted with the third master. Thanks to the third master's order, Wang Feng, a lawless guy, did not dare to disobey, but just watched the battleship fly closer. However, at this time, Du Enlai saw some clues, because the hull of the battleship was constantly flashing lights. Could it be that these lights are a language? Du Enlai looked at Fuxi and thought to himself. Fuxi didn't notice Du Enlai and Wang Feng's reactions at all at this time. He just stared at the battleship intently. Du Enlai was right. The flashing lights of the Space Ghost's warship were indeed a language, and it was also a language used by human warships to communicate with each other. In space, various situations may occur. Although there are wireless communication connections between human warships, in war, it is inevitable that warships will malfunction or be hit by enemy ships, resulting in communication problems. A malfunction occurs. Therefore, the human race has invented a way to express their meaning by using the flashing and arrangement of lights. In fact, this is similar to Morse code, except that the sound is replaced by light. Madman. This third master is reliable. Lu Feng quietly came to Wang Feng and asked in a small voice. After all, after Fuxi appeared, he didn't communicate with the people in the Hope Base at all. Moreover, Lu Feng originally had a character that would not leave his destiny to anyone but himself. Although Lu Feng has been in the Hope Base for so long, he has completely trusted Du Enlai, Wang Feng, and even Tang Haoshan, and is even willing to die for them. But it was Wang Feng and his friends who won Lu Feng's friendship through the accumulation of time, such a long time of getting along, and their performance in battle. Because of his background, it is difficult for Lu Feng to truly trust someone. Moreover, Lu Feng is different from Wang Feng and Du Enlai. Wang Feng will trust someone he may not even know because of Du Enlai's trust. But Lu Feng is different. To gain Lu Feng's trust, he must know and recognize someone. Lu Feng will never trust another person because of someone he trusts. In his heart, he is sure that Wang Feng and Du Enlai or Tang Haoshan and Gui Weivong will never harm him. But he will not believe this third master. Although Wang Feng expressed absolute trust in Fuxi, This only represents Wang Feng. Lu Feng believes in Wang Feng, but he does not believe in Wang Feng's vision. Although Wang Feng is now quite powerful in this doomsday, both in terms of his own strength and power. But Lu Feng still thinks in his heart that Wang Feng is too human, worrying about this and that, and sometimes being soft-hearted. So for Lu Feng, Wang Feng's character is still not suitable for survival in this dark doomsday. So, the person that Wang Feng recognizes does not mean that Lu Feng also recognizes him. He is still on guard against the third master. Now seeing that the small battleship is getting closer and closer to the space battleship where he is, Lu Feng can't help but be suspicious, so he came to ask Wang Feng. Lu Feng has also seen that image, but he knows what will happen to them if they let this space battleship approach them, and this space battleship is truly a space ghost. Although it is only a small battleship, it is still a space battleship after all, and its length has reached nearly 2 kilometers. If such a big guy directly hits the Yanhuang, although Lu Feng is not familiar with space battleships, he also knows that at the moment of collision, they will be destroyed together with this small battleship. Old Lu. I know what you think, but don't worry. It's okay. Wang Feng also knows what Lu Feng thinks, but he doesn't have time to explain more now. But Wang Feng believes that Fuxi will not deceive himself, let alone help the space ghost to kill them. Although he has been with Fuxi for a short time, judging from Fuxi's performance, Wang Feng is still willing to believe him. However, watching the battleship seem to be getting closer and closer, if he lets it get closer, I'm afraid that even if I want to dodge, it will be too late. Wang Feng's hair fluttered, and he hesitated in his heart. He didn't know whether he should immediately control the battleship to avoid the battleship of the space ghost. However, just when Wang Feng was hesitant, as if reaching a certain distance, the warship on the opposite side finally stopped slowly. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and looked at Fuxi with a guilty conscience. Wang Feng knew that if he had not been able to hold back, he would have directly controlled the warship to dodge or fire. Even if Fuxi would not be furious, he would definitely have some grudges in his heart. As the Space Ghost warship stopped, Fuxi was even more excited, and he rushed directly to the control console next to Wang Feng, stretched out his hand, and clicked a few buttons. Wang Feng subconsciously looked over and found that Fuxi actually clicked the communication button. Could it be that the Space Ghost warship really came to negotiate? Wang Feng looked at Fuxi in confusion. Alas! I haven't seen my people for a long time. I didn't expect that I would see you again one day. At this moment, a deep baritone sounded from the battleship. It was actually a voice call from the battleship of the Space Ghost. You can see the signal I sent. I guess there must be an old friend of mine on this human emperor. Although I don't know who you are, I really hope you are the person I imagined. Although he may not live that long, I will not be surprised by anything that happens to him. The deep baritone continued, and his voice was full of memories and remembrance. Xian Yuan. Fuxi suddenly widened his eyes and shouted. You son of a bitch are not dead. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 705. The voice must have heard Fuxi's words, and said in surprise. Fuxi? You are actually still alive? The voice asked in surprise. It's been almost 30,000 years, how did you survive until now? Following these words, a figure with concentrated influence appeared in the center of the control hall. This is the same man with long hair. He looks to be in his 40s. He has a Chinese character face and looks to be in his 40s. His face is very majestic. Xian Yuan. Fuxi looked at the sudden appearance of the figure and asked in a trembling voice. You are actually still alive. Fuxi. You are also alive. This is a bit unexpected to me. However, judging from your current state, you must have given up your original body, right? The figure known as Xian Yuan said with a sad expression. Probably about the same as you. Fuxi smiled bitterly and said. Xianyuan, at first, I thought you had been destroyed along with that fleet. I didn't expect that you were not dead. Alas. At first, I should have been dead, but, the Xianyuan sword the old man gave me actually absorbed my soul. Xianyuan raised his head and sighed and said. At that time, the entire fleet was basically destroyed. I also planned to stay there and fight them to the end. However, when my battleship exploded, I originally thought I would die, but I discovered that there was a terrifying suction force coming from the Xianyuan sword. I had no ability to resist at all, and was directly sucked into the Xianyuan sword by this suction force. Looking at Fuxi, Xianyuan sighed and said. Fuxi. Now I know why the old man gave me the Xianyuan sword. Because only I can get close to our most powerful enemy, and that old man seems to know the last situation of our human race. So, now I am alive, but this is not my ability. Moreover, the reason why I am alive now is also because of Xianyuan sword. After he absorbed my soul, he came directly into the consciousness of a high-level cosmic ghost, and the moment it entered his body, the Xianyuan sword destroyed his consciousness. So, now, my identity is actually still a high-level one among the ghosts of the universe. I'll know it after you show up, and I also want to tell you some bad news. The Space Ghost has 2 fleets coming here now, about a month from now. A month? Wang Feng exclaimed. Faster than the Brood. That's right. It's faster than the Brood. Xianyuan nodded and said. So, your task now is to quickly find the mother nest, and then, use your apocalypse to kill him. Remember, you must use apocalypse to kill him. Otherwise, the human race will eventually become extinct. Xianyuan. After hearing Xuanyuan's words, Third Master Fuxi couldn't help but ask. Did you create this apocalypse? Wrong. After hearing Fuxi's words, Xianyuan gently shook his head and said. The apocalypse was not caused by me, but by that old man. Actually, up to now, I still don't know what apocalypse is. However, after the transfer of consciousness, I got the consciousness transmission that the old man left for me. And it was because of this that I knew what the old man was thinking. Damn old man, he gave me the Xianyuan sword not just to give me a powerful weapon, but because he knew that there would be an invasion where you thought I died. After I died, at least I thought I was dead, but at that time my consciousness directly entered the Xianyuan sword, and directly crossed space and entered the body of a cosmic ghost. And, for some reason, after I entered with the Xianyuan sword, I directly took over his consciousness and controlled his body. So, after that, I became one of the cosmic ghosts, and it was because of what the old man said to me at that time that I did not reveal my identity. As a cosmic ghost, I passed the nearly 30,000 year. What did the old man tell you back then? Fuxi couldn't help but ask. He said. In fact, this Xianyuan sword is not for me, because he has already calculated that the human race will be in great catastrophe, and, we cannot resist it. He has already calculated the destruction of our Yanhuang galaxy, and he also knows that our home planet will not be destroyed in that disaster. Speaking of this, Xianyuan looked at Fuxi and said helplessly. The old man said that as long as you are here, the mother planet will not be destroyed, but the human race will also pay a heavy price. I was not convinced at first. Why is it because of you that the mother planet will not be destroyed? I am the commander of the human fleet and protecting the galaxy. This should be my business. However, after my death, I finally understood what the old man meant. You are indeed courageous, and you actually dare to activate our racial talent. Although our human race will decline because of this, after all, this was the only way at the time. At least we can continue. I know that the mother planet has not been destroyed, because I feel the existence of the mother star. That's why I am convinced that what the old man told me back then is true. Afterwards, Xian Yuan looked at Wang Feng, nodded with satisfaction and said, "Little guy, you are really good, you can actually recognize the Lord Tiankai." Apocalypse. Wang Feng was shocked. Tiankai was his most important secret. How did this guy know? He. Seeing Wang Feng's shocked expression, Xian Yuan couldn't help but laugh. Little guy. Tiankai is actually the Xian Yuan sword. What? As soon as Xian Yuan said these words, even Fuxi shouted. Don't talk nonsense. Do you think I haven't seen Xian Yuan's sword? I've seen the little guy's apocalypse, and it doesn't look like Xian Yuan's sword at all. Of course. Because the current Xian Yuan sword is not in its complete form yet. Xian Yuan said proudly. The Xian Yuan sword the old man gave me was in its complete form. At that time, it was a two-handed sword. However, after I carried out the old man's mission, Xian Yuan's sword is no longer what it was before. At first, it should be a dagger, and then it will slowly become longer. Before it undergoes the final baptism, Xian Yuan's sword will not reveal its true face. How do I get it to fully recover? Wang Feng asked quickly. After all, Wang Feng was still quite shocked when he learned that Tiankai was actually Xian Yuan's sword. However, now it sounds like the unknown old man seems to be quite powerful. He was able to predict even the expulsion of the human race and the emergence of the apocalypse in advance, so this person should be quite powerful. However, neither Fuxi nor Xian Yuan named that person, so Wang Feng did not ask. Because both Fuxi and Xian Yuan called the guy who seemed to be very awesome as old man, but it seemed that they didn't dare to mention his name. Therefore, since they didn't tell him, Wang Feng knew that it would be useless to ask him. They would definitely not tell him the name of that outstanding person. Full recovery. Xian Yuan looked at Wang Feng with admiration in his eyes. Little guy, actually this shouldn't be difficult for you. Because, you only need to kill the Devourer brood, and the Xian Yuan sword can be restored to its original form. The Devourer, I think you should be familiar with it, but the brood, you probably haven't seen it yet. Actually, the Devourer race, the lackeys of the cosmic ghost, only appeared under my suggestion. What? Wang Feng was shocked. Did you create the Devourer? That's right. It's me. Xian Yuan nodded simply. Fuxi looked at Xian Yuan, but did not get angry, because he knew that since Xian Yuan was willing to do this, there must be his reasons, especially, he did it according to the old man's instructions. You are a human race. Why did you create a race like the Devourer specifically to destroy the human race? Wang Feng was not Fu 11. He looked at Xian Yuan and asked loudly. Good question. Xian Yuan smiled bitterly, then looked at Wang Feng and said. If I'm not wrong, your apocalypse has no weapon spirit now, right? Hearing Xuan Yuan's words, Wang Feng suddenly paused. Xian Yuan was right. After Wang Feng's hair function recovered, he could no longer summon the spirit of apocalypse, which was the consciousness of Apostle John. Although Apostle John should be considered dead long ago, after all, he has become the weapon spirit of apocalypse, and Wang Feng also cares about this guy quite a bit. After constantly calling Tiankai but getting no response, Wang Feng thought that Tiankai fell into a deep sleep because of his improvement in strength and the need to upgrade again. Moreover, Wang Feng had tried it himself. Now, although he had no response from Tiankai's weapon spirit, he was still able to summon Tiankai. It is precisely because Tiankai can still be used that Wang Feng is not in a hurry. In his opinion, Apocalypse's weapon spirit, the Apostle John, should have fallen into a deep sleep because of his improvement in strength, so Apocalypse itself had to change, and that's why he ignored him. After all, Apocalypse has had such a precedent before, and Apocalypse has indeed become more powerful as his strength has improved. You know, Apocalypse was just a dagger at first. Now, Not only is its body as long as a Miao Dao, but it can also switch forms and become a ferocious longbow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 706. However, before Xianyuan appeared, Wang Feng had always thought that Apostle John, the spirit of apocalypse, might have awakened the function of his hair. Because his body changed, Apocalypse, which was completely integrated with his body, also evolved again, so he fell into a deep sleep. Now it seems that this is not the case. According to Xianyuan, Apostle John, could it be that his consciousness has dissipated and he is truly dead? Wang Feng looked at Xianyuan and asked with a trembling voice. Lord Tai Emperor, could it be that, the spirit of apocalypse, has disappeared? Wang Feng could not call him Xianyuan directly like Fuxi did. Since Xuanyuan's title was Tai Emperor, it should be right to call him Lord Tai Emperor. Moreover, Xianyuan was also the leader of the human race's space fleet before, and he was also one of the 3 emperors of the human race. He was definitely worthy of being called Lord. And Wang Feng was a little confused. He now knew the ranking of the 3 emperors of the human race. Obviously, Fuxi was the first of the 3 emperors, but he asked himself to call him third master. Who are the first and second masters? What Wang Feng didn't know was that the third master mentioned by Fuxi was not ranked according to the 3 emperors of the human race, but... After hearing what Wang Feng said, Xuanyuan's image trembled, and then, memories shot out of Xuanyuan's eyes. He murmured. His Majesty the King of Thailand. Haha. I haven't heard this title for more than 30,000 years. Then, Xianyuan looked at Wang Feng and found that he was looking at him anxiously, as if he was very concerned about the spirit of the revelation. He couldn't help but smile gently. Little guy. You are very good. You are so concerned about the consciousness of an alien race. You are not a heartless person. But you are right. That consciousness has completely dissipated. Your revelation is actually my Xianyuan sword. The Xianyuan sword does not need other consciousnesses to be its spirit. Although, I don't know the true origin of the Xianyuan sword. The old man didn't tell me. But the Xianyuan sword is definitely a divine weapon. Divine weapons have spirits. But that is the spirit it bred itself, and it is definitely not possible for any consciousness to enter and control the Xianyuan sword. When you first got it, there should have been a weapon spirit, right? That was a consciousness I sent in. When I created the Devourer, I randomly pulled the Devourer's consciousness in. Because I know that when the apocalypse is just obtained, no matter who it is, it will definitely not be able to control the apocalypse, so this consciousness must be used to help. However, when the power of your hair is awakened, the Xianyuan sword is in an awakened state, and because the Xianyuan sword has completely merged with your body, it has once again become a sacred weapon for the human race. The Devourer's consciousness will of course be dispelled by it. How could the human race's artifact tolerate other creatures to control itself? You don't have to be sad, because the mission of this so-called artifact spirit is to help you use apocalypse in the early stage. When the power of your hair awakens, his mission will be completed. All I did before was what the old man told me. He asked me to do it, and I did it. Unexpectedly, everything was almost the same as he said. According to him, there will be a human who gets the Xianyuan sword and unlocks it little by little, and can also completely integrate this artifact. Now that you have awakened the function of your hair, the Xianyuan sword is almost completely unlocked. What you need now is just the first step is to use the Xianyuan sword to kill the Devourer's nest. In fact, the existence of the nest is to achieve the Xianyuan sword and achieve you. This is also the real reason why I created the Devourer, because only in this way can I hide the Xianyuan sword and give it to the person that the old man said. Although I don't know whether this method will definitely succeed, since it is what the old man said, it should be true. Now it seems that the old guy is really terrifying. He actually calculated everything. It seems that the glory of the human race, he said, will return, and it should be soon. Ha 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 ha. I really want to see that day sooner. Xianyuan laughed and looked at Fuxi. Fuxi looked at him with expectation in his eyes. It seems that these two people really trust the old man they mentioned. After listening to Xuanyuan's words, Wang Feng couldn't help feeling a little sad. He didn't expect that the consciousness of the Apostle John would disappear just like that. Wang Feng still has a good impression of the Apostle John, but because Wang Feng didn't know these things before. Moreover, when the power of his hair was awakened, he was in a deep sleep and had no consciousness at all. At that time, Apostle John could not contact him at all, and there was no place to ask for help. Because Wang Feng's consciousness was in a deep sleep at that time, and the only way for Apostle John to contact Wang Feng was through consciousness. So, Apostle John disappeared silently. However, Xianyuan didn't know that the spirit in the apocalypse was no longer the one he had casually entered at the beginning, but the Apostle John. But even if he knew, he wouldn't care, whether it was the initial consciousness or the consciousness of Apostle John, they were all devourers. As for the devourer, Xianyuan created it as a cosmic ghost according to the arrangement of the mysterious old man, in order to bring the Xianyuan sword to the person who was said to be born. Therefore, the entire devourer clan will eventually become a sacrifice for the true awakening of Xianyuan sword. Wang Feng sighed softly. He had no intention of telling anything about the Apostle John. Anyway, his consciousness had dissipated and it could not be restored after telling him. Thinking of the time when Apostle John unexpectedly became the weapon spirit of Tiankai, he once said that this kind of life is not bad. At least Wang Feng will be able to live forever if he doesn't die. Unexpectedly, not long after this guy's consciousness disappeared directly because of his ability to awaken his hair. But think about it, if there was no apocalypse, the Apostle John should have died when his body collapsed. Now he has lived for a while longer, and it is not considered a loss. So Wang Feng quickly shook his head vigorously and stopped thinking about this matter. Lord Tai Huang, are you preparing to return to the human race when you come this time? Wang Feng looked at Xianyuan and asked. Of course not. Xianyuan shook his head. I didn't come here in person this time. The person on the spaceship was just a piece of my consciousness. Because this is an image projection, I am using my original appearance, and my current true body is a cosmic ghost. Speaking of this, Xianyuan looked a little sad. Although he did not die in that cosmic war, he lived for more than 30,000 years. But for the past 30,000 years, he has been living as the biggest enemy of humankind, the ghost of the universe. Living among enemies, what you see every day are the same enemies that destroyed your own galaxy and killed countless of your own people. In particular, Xianyuan is a guy with a rather impulsive temperament. It is really hard to imagine how he survived these 30,000 years. My current status among the cosmic ghosts is not low. I am the commander of the largest fleet of the cosmic ghosts. Especially since I created the Devourer and made the higher UPS of Cosmic Ghost quite satisfied, so I can't come back yet. I'm on the Cosmic Ghost side. Although I can't directly cause the fleet I command to switch sides and directly attack other Cosmic Ghosts, at least I can get a lot of information. Moreover, when I actually fight against you, I can at least control my own battleship and cause them some damage when they are unprepared. Come this time. One is to tell you the news about Xianyuan's sword, and the other is to tell you the location of the Devourer's nest. After you get the location of the mother's nest, rush to attack the mother's nest and kill him. Remember, you must use the Xianyuan sword to kill him, and it must be inside the mother's nest. If we kill him outside with the battleship's cannon, then Xian Yuan's sword may never be completely unsealed. The Devourer's hive. Wang Feng was stunned. Isn't he on his way to us? Let's ambush him here. When he comes here, can't we just kill him? Humph. Then you will encounter 2 fleets of space ghosts before you arrive at the brood. Xian Yuan snorted and said. After the brood discovered you, it directly passed the coordinates of your planet to all the fleets of cosmic ghosts. At that time, the other fleet was the closest to your side, so they directly set the coordinates to your planet and headed here. My fleet was farther away than that fleet at the time, but I also sent an application to the headquarters of Space Ghost to come here. My excuse was to take a look at the brood and try to improve it, so the guys at the Cosmic Ghost headquarters agreed without thinking too much. And they also asked the other fleet to wait for me, so a month or 2 before the arrival of the brood, you should be able to see my fleet and another fleet appearing in front of you together. Do you think, with this small planet, you can resist our attack? Even if I will switch sides, after all, it is the fleet of the Space Ghost. Even if I am the leader, they will never follow my orders and attack their own people. So what I can control is my flagship. And at that time, once I switch sides, my identity will be exposed, and I will no longer be able to hide among them and help you pass on information. Now, my advice to you is, abandon this planet, kill the brood immediately, unseal the Xian Yuan sword, and then. Xian Yuan suddenly paused when he said this. He looked at Wang Feng and then at Fuxi. Damn. That's all the old man told me. I don't even know what to do next. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 707. Looking at Xian Yuan, who was a little dazed, Fuxi laughed. I didn't tell you the rest, so you don't need to know it. I guess the old man must have made some arrangements. After the Xian Yuan sword is truly unsealed, this little guy will know what to do next. Hearing Fuxi's words, Xian Yuan also looked at Wang Feng. Although Wang Feng was still confused, Xian Yuan immediately laughed. You're right, that old guy has always been very well planned. Anyway, I'll just finish what I should do, and I won't care about the future. After saying this, Xuan Yuan's face became serious. He looked at Fuxi and said. It's almost time for me to come here. You guys will act out a scene with me later. After returning to my battleship, I will destroy the tracker at the rear of the battleship, and then you will receive the battleship into your battleship as soon as possible. In that battleship, there are many things you need, the most important of which is the information about the Space Ghost, and a space detector. This space detector is used by the Space Ghost family, and has the ability to transmit signals remotely and detect the location of its own battleship. This thing was originally only available to the Space Ghost family, but the one I brought was modified by me for 10,000 years, and you can use it too. But with this one, you must be careful. With this thing, you can know in advance the location of the Space Ghost family battleship's location. Originally, this thing can know the location of the other side no matter where your own warship is or how far away it is. But that requires a Space Ghost to operate it personally. After I modified it, it can only detect Space Ghost warships within a certain range. But for you, it should be enough, at least it will prevent you from meeting Space Ghosts. I also prepared a jammer for you. After activating it, it will interfere with the detector signal of the Space Ghost, making it impossible for them to find you. With these 2 things, I think you should be able to avoid being caught by the Space Ghost for a long time. There are some other gadgets. I left a message in that battleship. The purpose is the same as there are all the methods of use. After you take back the warship, take a look at it slowly. Speaking of this, Xian Yuan sighed. Alas. This is all I can do. The future depends on you. Whether we can completely restore the former glory of the human race and eliminate the cosmic ghosts depends on you. After that, Xuan Yuan's image began to fade slowly, and finally disappeared without a trace. Come on. My people, I look forward to seeing you reappear in front of me and eliminate all the cosmic ghosts. I will always wait for you. In the control hall of the warship, Xuan Yuan's last words were slowly floating. Watching Xuan Yuan's image dissipate, Wang Feng suddenly felt a sense of emotion in his heart. Whether Wang Feng agrees with Fuxi and Xuan Yuan's supremacy of the human race, as long as it is for the benefit of the human race, their belief that they are willing to do anything makes Wang Feng deeply admire them. Wang Feng knows that he will never be such a person, but any race needs such people to exist. As long as such people are still alive, their race will never perish. Okay. Get ready to take that battleship back. Fuxi sighed, then looked at the battleship of the space ghost outside and said. Yeah, Wang Feng nodded, then sat down in his seat. As his hair gently tapped the control panel, two huge mechanical arms stretched out on both sides of the battleship. At this moment, the stern of the space ghost battleship suddenly exploded, and several balls of fire lit up. Quick! Pull it back, and then turn on the energy shield. Fuxi immediately shouted anxiously. This space battleship will definitely be monitored by the space ghost when it comes. Although Xian Yuan has destroyed the tracker on the battleship, the space ghost will soon use other methods to check the status of the battleship. Now they have not yet obtained the signal jammer that Xian Yuan brought to them, so they can only pull this battleship to the side of the Yanhuang, and then use the energy shield to isolate the detection of the space ghost. Wang Feng did not dare to neglect it. He quickly controlled the mechanical arm and pulled the small battleship of the space ghost to the top of the Yanhuang, then turned on the shield and wrapped the small battleship and the Yanhuang together. Although this battleship is only a small battleship, it is also a space battleship after all. It is not so easy to receive the entire battleship in the Yanhuang. Therefore, covering it with an energy shield is the fastest way, and because there are some very important things given to them by Xian Yuan on this small battleship. Therefore, Wang Feng did not care about saving energy now and turned on the shield directly. Fortunately, the shield does not consume much energy when it is not attacked, and they do not need to keep the shield turned on. After turning on the shield, Fuxi immediately asked Wang Feng to drive the battleship back to the planet. After entering the planet, the space ghost will no longer be able to detect the existence of this battleship. It is impossible for a space probe to penetrate the atmosphere of a planet and directly detect the interior of the planet. Unless you come near the planet and use a short-range detector, you can find the creatures inside the planet. This is why the universe ghost has not found the planet where the human race hides until now. The atmosphere of the planet not only protects the planet from the harmful substances in Zhuzhu, but also can resist most energy signals. Unless the energy signal is emitted from an extremely close distance, for example, near the orbit of the planet, it is possible to pass through the atmosphere of the planet. Wang Feng followed Fuxi's words and drove the battleship into the planet without stopping after opening the shield. However, Wang Feng did not return directly to the Hope base, but drove the space battleship directly to the Nanzhou continent. After placing the small battleship of the universe ghost on the ground, Wang Feng and Fuxi walked out of the Yanhuang and entered the small battleship. Since the tail of the battleship had been blown up, there was no obstacle for them to enter the interior of the battleship. Of course, this was also arranged by Xian Yuan in advance. If the things he left behind had already arrived on this planet, but because of his own mistakes, Wang Feng and Fuxi were locked outside the warship and could not get them, it would be funny. Although it was a small warship, it was also several kilometers long. Especially now that Wang Feng and Fuxi came to this warship on foot, this warship was still a very terrifying behemoth for them. When Wang Feng left the Yanhuang, he had already notified all the personnel on the ship to go down to the warship of the universe ghost over there to take a look. And they did not say that other people could not go, so almost all the people on the Yanhuang also swarmed off the Yanhuang and ran towards the warship of the universe ghost. Now the Yanhuang is still suspended in the air, about 10 meters away from the ground. For those guys on the Yanhuang, jumping from such a high place is simply too easy. Especially since they have been in the warship for a while now. In addition to adapting to flying in space, they have also basically understood most of the functions on the warship. For example, the lifting platform, now they can open it by themselves without Wang Feng. Of course, Wang Feng only gave this authority to a few core members such as Lu Feng, Du Enlai, Lu Qiang, and Tang Haoshan. Wang Feng has restricted the authority on the warship. Except for a few core figures, other survivors can only open and close, or use some passages and facilities in the living area. As for weapons and the like, they are not open to them yet. One is that some of them cannot be fully trusted, and the other is who knows if any of these people have space paranoia. Moreover, even if these people really join the battle, they will not play a big role at all. Anyway, it is not a big problem for Wang Feng to control this warship alone, as long as there is no fierce air battle. Once in battle, Wang Feng would either control the warship to evade or control the firepower to fight back. It would be a bit dangerous to do both at the same time. After entering the small warship of the Cosmic Ghost, Wang Feng ignored Lu Feng and the others, but went straight to the control room of the warship. Fuxi naturally followed him. As for Lu Feng and the others, even if Wang Feng didn't say it, they knew that they must not touch anything in this warship. They were just curious because they knew that this was the warship of the Cosmic Ghost, and the Cosmic Ghost was their ultimate enemy in the future. For their enemies, especially those who have not seen them with their own eyes and have only seen images, of course everyone wants to see them. But this time they may be disappointed, because there will be no Cosmic Ghost in this warship. However, Du Enlai's eyes were shining with excitement, and he kept looking at the warship. Although it was a small warship, Du Enlai was still quite excited at this time. At this time, even Wang Feng might not have thought that the gift Qian Yuan mentioned should also include this space battleship. The battleships of the human race need hair control, but the hair of the space ghosts does not have this function, although their hair looks very long in the image. Therefore, the battleships of the space ghosts should be suitable for humans like Du Enlai who have not awakened the hair function. Du Enlai thought of this when he saw this battleship, so he was so excited. I hope the explosion just now did not damage the power system of this battleship. Du Enlai looked at the stern and murmured. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 708. In fact, Du Enlai's idea was not wrong. Qian Yuan came here this time with the intention of giving them this small space battleship. Because he knew that it was given to his own people, this small battleship was naturally modified by Qian Yuan. Although it is still a small battleship, it can be said that this small battleship was built by Qian Yuan with all the resources of his own space fleet. Not only is the firepower extremely strong, but the defense shield and maneuverability have also been greatly improved. In particular, the interior of the battleship also uses space technology, so the internal space is actually no smaller than Xuanyuan's own flagship, and it is even 1/3 larger. Speaking of this space technology, in fact, even the Space Ghost clan has not really mastered it. Because this was discovered by Qian Yuan when he created the Devourer clan. Since he is the real host of the Devourer clan, although the Devourer is nominally a subsidiary race of the Space Ghost clan, it is actually controlled by Qian Yuan. When Qian Yuan discovered that the new race he created was born with spatial ability, he was shocked. Qian Yuan, who was thinking about restoring the glory of the human race, certainly could not tell the cosmic ghosts about this discovery. Because once the cosmic ghosts have space technology, the rise of their human race will be even more slim. Therefore, Qian Yuan even directly created an accident and killed all the cosmic ghosts who participated in the creation of the Devourer clan, even to make the cosmic ghosts believe that this was an accident. Even Qian Yuan himself was seriously injured in this accident and almost died. But it was precisely because of this that the cosmic ghosts did not doubt Qian Yuan. Of course, This is also related to Swan-Yuan's consciousness transfer, which is similar to the soul possessing the cosmic ghost. He now looks like a cosmic ghost. No matter his living habits or appearance, he doesn't look like a human at all. And when Swan-Yuan's consciousness was transferred to the cosmic ghost, his racial talent also disappeared, and there was no way to control the cosmic ghost's long white hair. Especially after the Devourer nest was created, it basically had no contact with the cosmic ghost. His mission was to wander around in space and look for human beings. Of course, he could plunder all the life planets he found along the way and store the plundered life energy. This order was input to him by Xianyuan, and he also added one more thing: when his life energy is fully stored, he must return to any cosmic ghost fleet closest to him and hand over all the life energy he collected to that fleet. When Xianyuan input the command to the nest, it was completed under the supervision of the other two cosmic ghost high-level people. The two cosmic ghosts saw Swan-Yuan's command and thought there was no problem, so the nest began its space voyage. Moreover, during the voyage, the nest had not contacted the cosmic ghost fleet once. Because Xianyuan was also afraid that the cosmic ghost would discover the secret of the nest's space ability. In this way, not only would the cosmic ghost be strengthened, but it would also lead to his own exposure. Xianyuan was not afraid of his own death, but he was unwilling to die like this before his mission was completed. Therefore, the chance for the mother nest to meet the cosmic ghost is only possible under two circumstances. One is that if the human race is discovered, the mother nest will send information to all the cosmic ghost fleets and display the coordinates of the human race. In this way, the mother nest will also go to the location of the human race, and the cosmic ghost will also go, so there is a natural possibility of encountering. The other is that the mother nest has too much life energy stored and can no longer accommodate it. At this time, the mother nest also needs to contact the cosmic ghost and merge with the cosmic ghost closest to it, then deliver life energy, and then continue its mission. But the mother nest has spatial ability. Will the storage space of a creature with this ability be full? Not to mention that the mother nest also needs a lot of life energy to create the Devourer army. Even if it does not consume any life energy at all, it only takes in and does not go out. It is basically a long way to go if the mother nest cannot accommodate the life energy it stores. So Xianyuan knew that as long as the human race was not discovered, the secret of the mother nest would never be discovered by the cosmic ghost. Xianyuan also thought about removing or sealing the spatial ability of the mother nest. But because he himself did not master it, there was no way. So Xianyuan only sealed the number of soldiers in the mother nest and restricted their use of long-range weapons. Of course, the explanation given to the cosmic ghost was naturally that he was afraid that the mother nest would turn against him. In fact, the real purpose was that Xianyuan was still afraid that the mother nest was too strong and would cause trouble to his own people. Since the Devourers were created mainly to find the human race, the cosmic ghosts did not care too much about them. And Xianyuan secretly left some space energy before the mother nest left. As the creator of the Devourers, the mother nest certainly did not dare to disobey Swan-Yuan's orders. Later, after many years of secret research, Xianyuan finally fully mastered the method of using this space ability. However, the only restriction is that to use this ability, the mother nest must cooperate, and Xianyuan naturally cannot call the mother nest over for nothing and ask it to provide some space energy. Therefore, Xianyuan just used all the space energy left by the mother nest to build this small warship. In fact, it is not impossible to use this space energy for his flagship. However, in that case, it will inevitably be discovered by the cosmic ghost. Although the flagship is his, the cosmic ghosts inside may not all help him. Moreover, the cosmic ghost warship is not like the human warship, which can be controlled by hair. When necessary, even if there is only one person, the warship can be barely controlled. The cosmic ghost warship, even if it is a small warship, needs at least thousands of cosmic ghosts to operate at the same time to exert its full combat power. This small warship was modified by Xian Yuan, and the route was confirmed in advance. In addition, after coming here, Xian Yuan did not plan to fight, so it was only his consciousness that could operate it. However, his consciousness also dissipated when the tracker was destroyed just now. This is necessary. Xian Yuan is a high-level member of the Cosmic Ghost after all. If his consciousness is not destroyed with the tracker, the Cosmic Ghost may find something. And now Wang Feng has not realized the value of this small battleship. Because Xian Yuan did not say it before, and what Wang Feng wants to find most now is the detector that can detect the Cosmic Ghost battleship. As long as they have this, plus the speed of the human battleship is faster than the Cosmic Ghost. As long as they are willing to give up their planet and play hide and seek with the Cosmic Ghost in space, I believe that their safety should not be a problem for a long time. Although Xuan Yuan's consciousness is gone, he left all the guidance along the way, so Wang Feng and Fuxi soon came to the control room of the small battleship. At this time, Wang Feng still did not find any problems with the internal space of the small battleship, and Fuxi did not. Their current attention is all on the things left by Xian Yuan. When they came to the control room and pressed a red button, Xuan Yuan's voice sounded again. Following his instructions, Wang Feng and Fuxi found everything Xian Yuan left for them. It was at this time that they realized that this warship was also a gift from Xian Yuan. When they learned that this small warship actually had space technology and its internal space was not inferior to their own Yanhuang, Wang Feng and Fuxi were stunned. However, the two soon woke up from their shock and began to count their gains. What excited Wang Feng the most was that Xian Yuan actually prepared 2 million small space fighters for them in this space battleship. And even the driving method was explained in detail, which was the greatest wealth in Wang Feng's view. Although there were also small fighters of the same number in Yanhuang, no one else could use those small fighters except Wang Feng. The reason was very simple. Except for the direction of the small fighters of the human race, all other systems needed to be controlled by hair. And the fighters of the Cosmic Ghosts were of course similar to the planes on Wang Feng's planet, and could be driven with one hand. Although these fighters need two people to operate, one is responsible for flying and the other is responsible for firepower output, but they are just less capable of fighting. Unlike the human fighters in the Yanhuang, if others are allowed to drive, although they can barely fly, there is no other way to fight except to hit with their own fuselage. Wang Feng would never let those soldiers perform such a suicidal combat mission. So for such a long time, Wang Feng did not let them drive this thing except pulling out a fighter and letting them try to modify it. Now if these 2 million fighters are all transferred to the Yanhuang, it will not take long for the Yanhuang to have a group of fighters that can attack at any time. However, Wang Feng finally decided to leave these fighters in the battleship of the Space Ghost, and named this space battleship Hope. This Hope will be operated by Duan Lei and others, and it is decided that during this period, Duan Lei and others' task is to familiarize themselves with the operation of the Hope battleship as soon as possible, and train the Space Hope warriors who can skillfully drive those fighters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 709. Liza. Wang Feng called Duan Lei to his front, looked at him and said. Now, the two warships are connected. What I can see, you can also see, as long as it does not exceed a certain range. The Universe Hope Legion is handed over to you. Now, it has been 3 days since Wang Feng got Xuan Yuan's arrival. During these 3 days, Wang Feng and Duan Lei counted the supplies left by Xian Yuan and distributed them all. It is especially worth mentioning that the survivors of the human race are generally very strong, not to mention that those who can come to the warship are the elites among the survivors. So, After just getting the fighter of the universe Ghost, Wang Feng, and Duan Lei have sent all the soldiers of the two legions and those core members to adapt to the fighter. It was said very well at the beginning that whoever can control the fighter will be the pilot of the fighter. The two legions have no preferential treatment in this regard. Duan Lei looked at Wang Feng, sighed softly and said, "Have you decided?" When Wang Feng assigned the battleship to him and named it Hope, Duan Lei guessed what Wang Feng was thinking. Hope is not Guardian, and Cosmic Hope Warrior is not Cosmic Guardian Warrior. From the naming, Duan Lei knew that Wang Feng actually had no confidence in the planet that was guarding them. Otherwise, why not called Cosmic Guardian Warrior? The name of the battleship is easy to explain, because their previous base was called Hope Base. So, it's okay to call the newly acquired battleship Hope. But there are some problems with the naming of the main core. Everyone knows that the Guardian Corps is the most elite core of the Hope Base, and the Guardian Warrior is of course the most powerful warrior of the Hope Base. Even if we are now in the universe, personal strength may not be so important in future battles. But at least the Guardian Warrior has paid the most for the Hope Base and made the greatest sacrifice. The first space fleet established now is actually named Cosmic Hope Warrior. What about the Guardian Warriors? You know, since the establishment of the Guardian Corps, it has been the guardian of the entire Hope Base. Now that their numbers are suddenly revoked, I'm afraid those Guardian Warriors will not agree. The Guardian Warriors before were the main force of the Hope Base. Everyone has seen their efforts for the Hope Base. Now, if Wang Feng says that the name of the Space Corps is the Guardian Corps, even the soldiers of the Hope Corps will not have any dissatisfaction. After all, they were in the late stage, and Wang Feng made them rise. Before, the Guardian Corps was their envy target. Although there is no distinction between the first and second between the two major corps, as Guardian Warriors, the pride in their hearts is still there. Now, it is obvious that the first space fleet representing their planet is named after the Hope Corps. Not only the Guardian Warriors, but even the Corps members are surprised. Duan Lei frowned and looked at Wang Feng. He felt that Wang Feng's decision is likely to cause an uproar among the soldiers of the two major corps. He has experienced almost everything since the establishment of the Hope Base. It can be said that he knows more about the Hope Base and the soldiers of the two legions than Wang Feng. However, he also knew that Wang Feng must have his own reasons for making this decision, so he did not object, but just looked at Wang Feng. Seeing the look in Wang Feng's eyes, Duan Lei understood, not that he understood Wang Feng's meaning, but that Wang Feng would not change his mind. Well, I've decided. Wang Feng nodded heavily to Duan Lei. As for those soldiers, I will tell them why. Looking into Wang Feng's eyes, Duan Lei nodded. Duan Lei can no longer see through Wang Feng. He just knows that the current Wang Feng is no longer the Wang Feng he knew at the beginning. As his strength increases, his state of mind has also changed, but Duan Lei still trusts his comrade in arms quite a lot. Because he knew that no matter what time, Wang Feng would always treat himself as a soldier. With this creed, Duan Lei believed that Wang Feng would never do anything to disappoint him. Okay. Then I will go to gather people, you come. Duan Lei nodded and said, then he looked at Wang Feng. He was ready to let Wang Feng explain to those soldiers now, but he didn't know whether Wang Feng intended to do so now. So, Duan Lei didn't finish his words. Lazy eye. Don't worry. I'll solve it. Wang Feng smiled lightly, with a trace of loneliness in his eyes. Okay. Then I'll go. Duan Lei's heart was a while, and then he suddenly realized it, and he didn't say much, and walked directly outside. Duan Lei had guessed why Wang Feng named the soldiers on his warship as the Warriors of Hope. Xianyuan. Fuxi. And that space fleet, and those human races who entered those planets destined to self-destruct and voluntarily stepped into death for the continuation of the human race. When Duan Lei called everyone together, he first announced the subsequent establishment and personnel arrangements. Hearing Duanlei's words, the crowd roared. As expected by Duanlei, not only the Guardian warriors had a hint of indignation in their eyes, but even the Hope warriors did not have any excitement or pride in their eyes. There was only doubt in their eyes. They were also wondering why it was the Legion of Hope and not the Legion of Guardians. The strangest thing is none other than Lu Feng and other core members of the Hope base. These people have all been watching the Hope base grow when they first arrived at Bishui Garden. His understanding of Hope base is not as good as Duanlei's, but it's not much different. In their hearts, the Guardian Legion should naturally be the most powerful combat force in Hope base. Even though there is no sequence between the two legions now, in the eyes of these core members, they still believe that the Guardian Legion is actually what Wang Feng values most. After all, when he first established the Guardian Legion, Wang Feng himself gave an example and firmly believed that the power of guardianship is the most powerful force in the world. Looking at everyone's eyes, Wang Feng smiled softly. At this time, they were still in the southern continent, in the place where Devourer had built the wormhole to confuse them. The Hope, the space ghost battleship that Xian Yuan gave them, was parked on the ground. The Yanhuanghao was still suspended in mid-air. Since the Yanhuang was born, it has never landed on the ground. Because Yanhuang can levitate using the planet's magnetism, it flies inside the planet without consuming almost any energy. You must be wondering, or even angry about the name of the legion I just decided on, right? Wang Feng looked at the two legion soldiers and the core figures of the Hope base in front of him and smiled. Actually, I originally wanted to name this Cosmic Legion, at least the first legion led by a space battleship on our planet, the Guardian Legion. But let's watch it again, shall we? Then, Wang Feng's hair flew up and he grabbed a control screen behind him, and then clicked a few hairs on it. Buzz. Suddenly, the entire Nanzhou continent, which was originally sunny at noon, suddenly turned into darkness, and all the people in front of Wang Feng seemed to have entered the universe themselves. This is the video that Wang Feng saw when he first played it here. Among the people below, some have seen this video, and some have not. However, regardless of whether they have seen it or not, everyone is now looking at this image with concentration. Even including Wang Feng and Duanlei. Needless to say, the content of the image ranges from the galaxy Wang Feng first saw, to the invasion of cosmic ghosts, to the destruction of the cosmic fleet. And the ending is the disappearance of Xuan Yuan's consciousness, and the flash of fire from the tail of the Hope. When the video finished playing, the entire audience fell into silence. Whether those who had seen it or those who had not seen it, they were once again immersed in what could even be described as a tragic history of the development of the human race. Well, I don't know how long it took, Duanlei sighed slowly. Madman. I understand. It seems, it is indeed more appropriate to call it the Legion of Hope. Lu Feng, Tang Haoshan, and others were stunned for a moment, then looked back at the two Legion soldiers who were still looking excited, and then looked back at Wang Feng. Damn it! Can you stop playing riddles? Say it quickly. Tang Haoshan was the first one who couldn't help it and looked directly at Duanlei and asked. Don't ask me, this is his business. Duanlei pointed at Wang Feng Dao unceremoniously. Wang Feng didn't shy away. He looked at Tang Haoshan with an indescribable look in his eyes. Then, Wang Feng took 2 steps forward and shouted to the powerful Legion soldiers below. I know. Not only the Guardian Legion, but also the Hope Legion, or Lao Lu, Old Tang, including you, will find this naming a bit confusing, right? However, this is my decision, and no one can change it. The reason for this. It's not that I favor the Hope Legion, nor that I want to compensate the Hope Legion, but because. Having said this, Wang Feng looked at the people below, a bitter smile appeared on his face, and said softly. If we call it the Guardian Legion, I think, we don't deserve it. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzu. Chapter 710. Not worthy. Everyone was shocked when they heard Wang Feng's words. Except for Duan Lei, who already knew what Wang Feng meant, they all looked at Wang Feng. That's right. Not worthy. Wang Feng nodded affirmatively and said. Fuxi and Xian Yuan, have you seen what they did? And that fleet, and those humans who entered the planets that finally self-destruct. I once told you. The power of protection is the most powerful force. I will never take back these words until now. But our protection is not as good as theirs. Wang Feng sighed softly. They are the real guardians. No matter what happens to the people they protect, they are willing to dedicate everything they have to their protection. This. We can't do it. Just talk about those people over there. Wang Feng pointed at Dongzhou continent and said. We have decided before to abandon them. Even now, with the new warships, we can actually take them all away, but I still have no such plan. Does any of you think so? No matter what happens to them, you must take them with you. There was silence below. That's right. We don't want to. We are guardian warriors, and our goal is to protect the inheritance of mankind. But we don't feel the need to protect such humans. This is the difference between us and them. They, regardless of the target they protect, trust them or not, it's up to them to be grateful or not. They only want their actions, and results. But we are different. We at least need a target to be protected. It is worthy of our protection and worthy of our lives. So, our protection is more like an exchange. This is also the reason why I said that we are not worthy of the title of Guardian Legion. But I don't plan to change. All of us have experienced this apocalypse and are alive now. For us, no one cherishes life more than us. We can do it for our goals, for our relatives, for our brothers, for our hopes. We can sacrifice, but for those who are not on the same path as us, who do not share the same goals, who do not believe in us at all, and who just want to use us, we will not sacrifice for them. This is the difference between us and Xian Yuan and the others. They are here to protect the human race, while we are here to protect ourselves and our relatives and friends around us. So, from now on, we will be called the Legion of Hope. We are our own hope. After listening to Wang Feng's words, the soldiers guarding the Legion finally calmed down. They also knew that Wang Feng was right. They had indeed made sacrifices before, but they all died for those who were worthy of their protection. Wang Feng never asked them to fight for people who had nothing to do with him. Perhaps, this was the difference between them and Xian Yuan and Fuxi. They also know a lot about Xian Yuan and Fuxi. For them, the soldiers of these two legions also admire them very much. But like Wang Feng, they will not do this. Knowledge can be sacrificed for their own beliefs. All people. This kind of person is noble, this kind of person is perfect, this kind of person is great. It can be said. They are already close to the legendary saints. Even if they are not understood or respected, they still insist on the dreams in their hearts. However, this is definitely not the figure that Wang Feng and the two Legions of Hope base want to imitate. After solving the naming problem, Wang Feng directly handed over the newly established Cosmic Hope Corps to Duan Lei and the others, while he walked directly towards the Yanhuang. Madman! You! Seeing Wang Feng about to leave, Duan Lei shouted. Are you going to intercept the Devourer's brood? Duan Lei is also fully aware of what happened before. Therefore, relying on his understanding of Wang Feng and his own guess, Duan Lei has now thought that Wang Feng should be planning to intercept the Devourer's brood himself. Xian Yuan said that only by killing the mother nest with the Xian Yuan sword can the Xian Yuan sword be completely unsealed. The Xian Yuan sword is Tiankai, so the only one who can use it is Wang Feng. Good. Wang Feng turned around, looked at Duan Lei and said. Leave the brood nest to me, and leave this place to you. No matter what, these guys must be trained so that you can see my position. If something happens to me, you should leave this planet immediately and get far away from here before the cosmic ghost arrives. Find any planet suitable for us humans to survive and continue our inheritance. Looking at Wang Feng's solemn expression, Du Enlai nodded gently. Okay. Don't worry. It's no problem, but it's best if you come back. Together, we can continue the inheritance of mankind. You know, I'm not good at fighting. Du Enlai knew that he could not convince Wang Feng, so he had no choice but to agree. Ha 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 ha. Of course, I will be back soon, it's just a nest, just wait and see. Wang Feng laughed. My target, or rather my enemy, is a cosmic ghost. How could he be bitten to death by his dog? Humph. That's enough. I'm leaving first. You guys train well. It would be best if I could see 2 million fighter planes welcoming me in space when I come back. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Du Enlai's eyes shone with brilliance, and then he patted Wang Feng's shoulder and said, Don't worry. When you come back, you will see the scene you want to see. Okay. Then I'm leaving. You, take care. Wang Feng also patted Du Enlai's shoulder, looked at him and said, I will come back, wait for me. Get lost. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Du Enlai was furious. You can tell Ting Ting about this, why tell me? Ha 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 ha. Wang Feng laughed wildly at the sky, and then turned and walked towards the Yanhuang. Just last night, Wang Feng had already told Lu Wanting that he would leave today. Now, Lu Wanting is in the Hope, looking at Wang Feng's back as he walked towards the Yanhuang with tears in her eyes. Lu Wanting and Wang Feng have experienced this kind of separation many times, and every time, Lu Wanting can regard this separation as a separation of life and death. This time, Wang Feng not only left herself, but also left this planet to go to the vast universe to find the strongest creature among the Devourers, the Devourer nest. Lu Wanting didn't know how powerful the nest was, but she knew that Li Yingning was just the prince among the Devourers. And Li Yingning was the recognized strongest person in the Hope base. Of course, no one compared Wang Feng with him. For the Hope base, Wang Feng was a spiritual leader and his status was irreplaceable. But Li Yingning's strength was seen and heard by everyone in the Hope base. And as the nest that gave birth to the prince Li Yingning, how powerful would his body be? To be honest, Lu Wanting didn't want Wang Feng to find the nest. She even thought that they could leave the planet now. Get out of the sight of the mother nest, get rid of the shadow of the cosmic ghost, and find a planet suitable for human survival to continue the human heritage. However, she knows Wang Feng and has heard what Xian Yuan said to Wang Feng. She knows that Wang Feng is carrying the hopes of too many people on his shoulders at this time. Lu Wanting doesn't want to affect Wang Feng's mood because of her own selfishness. So she hid all her thoughts in her heart and just watched Wang Feng leave silently. I will wait for you to come back. Lu Wanting looked at Wang Feng's back and said silently in her heart. Xiao Feng. Just as Wang Feng stepped onto the Yanhuang's lift platform, a person's voice sounded. In the Hope base, there is only one person who can call Wang Feng Xiao Feng. Instructor Li Yingning. Wang Feng looked back and found that Li Yingning was walking towards him, and number 7 was following closely behind him. Instructor. Wang Feng looked at Li Yingning in surprise and asked. You are? Li Yingning did not answer, but jumped onto the lift and stood in front of Wang Feng. Number 7 also jumped onto the lift. We will go with you. Li Yingning looked at Wang Feng calmly and said. This time we are going to find the mother nest and kill him. As devourers, we can help you. Wang Feng looked at Li Yingning. When he saw the look in Li Yingning's eyes, he didn't say anything, but nodded directly. Because he knew that he would definitely not be able to convince Li Yingning. If he wanted to go together, then, he could only go together. At this time, Fuxi also appeared beside Wang Feng. He looked at Li Yingning and number 7, didn't say anything, but frowned. Li Yingning looked at Fuxi at this time, then looked away, with no fluctuation in his eyes, as if Fuxi was just like an ordinary person. Fuxi is one of the 3 emperors of the human race. Perhaps in the eyes of Wang Feng, Du Enlai, and even Lu Feng, they all think that he is their ancestor. But Li Yingning is a devourer, and Fuxi's identity has no effect on him at all. But number 7 didn't even look at Fuxi at this time, but just looked at Wang Feng, as if he wanted to say something. However, in the end, number 7 shook his head gently and just said softly, "I'll go too." "Okay." Wang Feng nodded. "Since they have all decided, let's go together. Anyway, they are all devourers. Maybe it's really like Li Yingning said, when dealing with the mother nest, it will be of some help to him."